Let's talk. Let's chat. Let's start a dialogue about your ideas and mine. Because the conversation in Washington has been just a little one-sided lately, don't you think?
Used her personal email account to conduct official business.
Wanted to reset relations with Russia.
Not really working out well.
Potentially catastrophic move for Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton's warm and fuzzy announcement of her candidacy 8 years ago and a Republican attack ad released this week before Clinton even got into the race. And it's time now for our Sunday group. Fox News senior political analyst Brit Hume, welcome back. USA Today columnist Kirsten Powers, syndicated columnist George Will, and Charles Lane from the Washington Post. Brit, there's been a lot of talk about how Clinton is going to take a softer, more intimate approach this time than 8 years ago. What struck me looking back at that video, that's exactly the kind of tack, the tone that she set last time. So it seems to be her go-to move. What do you see going in? What are her strengths and weaknesses on day one of her campaign?
She has huge advantages. She's better known than any Democrat in America, or certainly any Democrat that has any idea running in this election year. She has a tremendous body of support and supporters that dates back years. She has a huge fundraising apparatus. She has, professional people around her. She has long experience. She knows the issues. But at the same time, she has tremendous baggage. I mean, do American people really want another 4 or 8 years of the Clintons and their weird marriage? Do they really want more of the kind of behavior that, the deceptive behavior we saw with regard to the emails and all the rest of it, which is so redolent of Clinton administrations and Clinton experiences past? And then there's the fact that as the public is hungry for someone new, she's not somebody new. She's the old, she's not the news.
We ask you for questions for the panel, and we got this question on Facebook for Hillary Clinton from Joan Golaskoff. She writes, to Clinton, how do you explain your silence from Benghazi and your decision to destroy government information from your private server? Are these the actions of a leader? And take a look at what we got today. This was sent out to political reporters all over the country, I guess, who might have something to do with the campaign. It is a thumb drive sent by the RNC, which supposedly you plug into your computer and it has, quote, secret Hillary Clinton emails. Kirsten,
and there's nothing on
my
it.
question is, do you think this is, at least in the beginning, it certainly isn't going to last for the whole campaign, a good tack for Republicans to take, whether it's the specifics of this scandal or just what it brings up about kind of the secretiveness and entitlement of the Clintons?
Look, they can do it, but I think, first of all, the minute they say Benghazi, they're going to lose a lot of people. Whatever you think about the merits of that situation, the Democrats have done a very good job of convincing people that that's for, people who are conspiracy theorists who hate Hillary Clinton. And so if they want to do that, she's going to be able to turn that around, I think. I also think the email thing will dog her, but to a certain extent, people who have been in the public eye for as long as Hillary Clinton, people have already made up their mind about her. They're not developing new opinions of her. So people who like her know that she's secretive. This is not a new thing, and I don't think they're going to change their position for supporting Hillary Clinton over it.
But you do see her ratings on trustworthiness and honesty have taken a hit in the last couple of weeks.
They have, but at the same time, when you ask those same people, do you think she's a good leader, they say yes. And so I think it's going to be something that if the Republicans really go overboard on it, which I can almost guarantee they will, she's going to turn it around and turn it into like, oh, here they come with their fanatical, like, Clinton hatred, and she'll be able to turn it around to her advantage.
Perhaps the most explosive story this week, certainly the most surprising, was this horrific video of a white police officer shooting a black man repeatedly in the back. And by the end of the week, Hillary Clinton sent out this tweet: heartbreaking and too familiar. We can do better. Rebuild trust, reform justice system, respect all lives. But Senator Lindsey Graham pushed back.
With all due respect to Hillary Clinton, I think we're proving in South Carolina that our justice system is working.
George, given the fact that the police officer was fired from the force, charged with murder, and is being held without bail, does Lindsey Graham have a point?
He absolutely does. The default position of Eric Holder's Justice Department, from Florida with Trayvon Martin to Ferguson, Missouri, is that racism is so undiminished as a force in American life that local institutions cannot be trusted. What we're seeing is a very interesting phenomenon, how technology, this thing, the smartphone, is changing capabilities, which change expectations, which changes rights at the end of time. We've got an enormous number of litigations all over the country about the right of people to film public officials and the performance of their duties, most especially, of course, policemen who have the lethal force of the state behind them. And this is going to change American life profoundly and for the better.
You know, I must say, Chuck, I was struck by that part of Hillary Clinton's tweet, "too familiar," which made it sound like this is the kind of thing that goes on all the time. Of course, that was the narrative in Ferguson. Hands up, don't shoot, get shot in the back. As we now know, it didn't happen after multiple investigations. So what do you think Hillary Clinton is saying? Well, what happened in South Carolina, too familiar.
Well, I think it's a fact that the Democrats have treated these incidents as an opportunity to remind a big part of their political base, namely African Americans, that the Democratic Party is on their side, to put it very politely. Now, to Lindsey Graham, that's politicizing. To me, that's the natural response of a party to one of its constituent groups. She is playing that same game. But to George's point, I think what we have here is a big difference between what happened in Ferguson and what happened in South Carolina. Basically, the local officials responded much more transparently, not just in pressing charges against the officer, but talking about it more openly and expressing. And it was, but of course, it was a much different incident.
Yeah, that's the key.
This is
facts.
a situation where the guy is running away,
And we have video of it.
and it's. But that's the point where I somewhat disagree. Well, or would put a variation on with George. Would all this accountability and transparency be happening without that citizen and his cell phone? I'm a little less sure, because these police officers, there's some indication that they were ready to put on a cover-up and try and sweep this under the rug and obfuscate it. And that is something that is quite familiar.
Yeah, but
that
that's
does
unknowable.
happen in a lot of cases.
That's unknowable.
Right. Well, no, I'm not sure it's so unknowable. There's some evidence that there was an effort to do that.
I want to get into one other political development this week, and that was Rand Paul, his first week, his bumpy rollout, and part of it, maybe the highlight or low light, was when he tangled with a woman reporter. Take a look.
Why don't you ask me a question? Have I changed my opinion?
Have you
that would
changed
be
your
sort of
opinion?
a better way to approach an interview.
Okay.
No.
Is Iran still not
you've
a threat?
editorialized. No. Listen, you've editorialized. Let me answer a question.
Kirsten, you're shaking your head.
Well, you know, I don't buy into the woman thing as much. I just think he just came off as really not ready for prime time. And one of the problems is, first of all, Savannah Guthrie is not some, you know, hyper-partisan, you know, terrible interviewer to start with. She was asking normal questions, and he actually was lying to her. You know, I mean, on one of the questions where she was asking him something very valid about whether he cut off foreign aid, and he did. So, you know, I mean, he's put forward a bill basically saying, you know, I'm going to zero out foreign aid, and specifically spoke about Israel, and then he's acting all self-righteous that he's being asked about it. So I think that he needs to answer these questions, and if he can't answer these questions, he shouldn't be running for president.
Is Rand Paul's, I guess we'll call it, grumpiness a legitimate issue, Britt?
Well, it's a hindrance to an effective campaign. When you're entangled in disputes with, you know, television anchor people, you're not making your case. Mm-hmm. He's in a crowded field. He's a relative newcomer to national politics. He seems to be forming his opinions as he goes, and he can't afford to have this kind of stuff going on, even though it is certainly the case that from time to time when a conservative politician hauls off and delivers a haymaker to some news person, that plays well with, you know, with conservative voters. But you can't make a career of it, and he seemed this week or in recent times to be doing too much of it to me.